There's been a student question about this piecewise function, so I thought that I would go over it. Here we have the piecewise function that says f of x is equal to 4x if x is not equal to 0, and f of x is equal to 1 if x is equal to 0. Remember, these are like our categories, or telling us, which one of these equations that we're going to be using depending on what your x value is. Alright, so our first question says find the domain of the function. You can see this answer is correct. Now let's try to figure out why that is correct. Let's look at this on a number line. Let me just draw out a quick number line here, and let's say here is 0. Well, in our first category we can use any x except 0. So that would be all of our x's, all the way on the left-hand side of 0 and all of the way on the right-hand side of 0. The only number that we can't use is 0 itself, so I'm going to put a little open circle there on 0. Now, for the second part here, it says we can use this part of the equation if x equals 0. So now we are going to be using 0 in there. So now we have used every single number on the number line. That's why our domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. Alright, now as far as the next part of it, let me go ahead and erase this off so I have some more room here to draw. As far as the next part of it, the intercepts here. I personally don't like to do the intercepts first anyway. Oops, lost my thing there, didn't I? I don't like to do the intercepts first. In fact, I like to do the graph first and then pull the intercepts off of that. So let's go ahead and look at our graph first. Now here we have 4 choices, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our calculator to actually draw it in ourselves. So what I'm going to do first of all is look at the graph of y equals 4x. And let me go ahead and pull my calculator up here. And if we have in our y equals, if we type in 4x and do a zoom 6, we should be able to get a picture of that. Now that is the line that has 0 as its y-intercept, and it goes up 4 and over 1 as its slope. So now we can go ahead and we can kind of graph that real quickly on a number line. So let me draw a number line out. Not a number line, but a Cartesian coordinate system. And remember, this has a y-intercept at 0, but it's not including 0. So I'm going to put a big open circle there at 0. And then our slope is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. So this line would be everything that was showing up on our calculator except for right there at 0. Now for the next part of the graph. The next part says y equals 1 if x equals 0. So if x is 0, y equals 1. That's a point right there. So now we can look and we can figure out which one of these is our graph, and it looks like it has to be this one, where we're using everything as y equals 4x except that point 0, 0, and then our y-intercept would be this part of the line right there. Now by doing the graph first, now we can just read off our x and y-intercepts, and in this case the only y-intercept we have is right here at 0, 1. Now the next thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be based on the graph, find the range. Well, let me use a different color here for that. If we were to look at range, which is y values, so that would be starting at the bottom and moving up. So as I move up the graph, we have y values everywhere until we hit 0. And then there's nothing at 0, but then we continue on up after that to infinity. So that tells us then that our range for this is going to be negative infinity to 0, and then we jump over 0, start back up, and go all the way to infinity.